Welcome to It's Been How Long? The podcast about Cherry Hill High School East students from the late 1970s and early 80s. This is Kara Siegel. I'd like to welcome in Julie Dollinger to the It's Been How Long podcast studio. Hey, Julie, how are you?
Hey, hi, Kara. I'm so glad to be here with you.
Oh, thank you so much for agreeing to be on the podcast today. Very excited.
Yeah.
So, we'll start as I always do. It's been 44 years. What are you up to?
Oof. I am a pediatrician. I'm a pediatrician. I live in Brookline, Mass. I have two kids, and they are maybe younger than a lot of the kids. Yeah, my kids are 13 and 16.
All right. Well, that's got to keep you busy.
It totally keeps me busy. So a lot of I mean, I've heard of a lot of the podcasts already. I mean, a lot of people are talking about how they're spending their retirement, and I'm still like, I mean, I've got a high school junior, so anybody who's had kids knows what that means.
Yeah. Yeah. Got to
I have a
start.
high school junior, and I have a younger one who's 13 and just had his bar mitzvah.
Oh, wow. Mazel tov.
So
That's great. Yeah. So have you started the driving thing? Do they drive in Boston? Do kids drive in
they
Boston?
so my daughter it's funny. So my daughter got her she needs to get her
Permit?
learner's permit.
Yeah.
And she's entitled to it. She did that. We both had to do a class. She had to do a
Oh,
class
wow.
online still from the pandemic. And so she did that when she turned 16 in April last year. And then the next step was actually the next step actually was getting the permit. And it's a lot of steps where you go to different places. But I was stymied because I couldn't find their birth certificates.
Oh.
Or no. The Social Security, they needed Social
Oh, yeah.
Security cards.
Oh, okay.
So I ended up, it's so complicated up here. My mother and my two sisters are still in Cherry Hill.
Okay.
And I was checking on my mom, who had some health issues, and I took a side detour to the Social Security office and I got them new cards. So now that they have them, I can now do the next step, which is the learner's permit.
Okay. All right. Do you
So
drive? I'm assuming. I mean,
I mean, well, my life now, I mean, yes, we drive. I
you,
drive to get them places and stuff.
oh, okay.
But I live in a part of Brookline called Brookline Village.
Yeah.
It's actually I worked in a pediatric office. I was a partner in a pediatric office in Lexington, Mass, which is a drive, and I would
Oh.
drive there, whenever I went to work. But then I did that for like 19 years.
Oh.
And then I was there for a long, long time. And then my kids were little. Um, and I was going to get into this later, but I'm a single mom by choice. So
Hmm.
it's me raising them. And they were getting to an age where the commute back and forth to Lexington was sort of a schlep.
Yeah.
Um, so I ended up uh, leaving there and briefly joining another practice and taking a job at Children's Hospital. Boston
Oh.
Children's is like a walk. It's like under a mile from my house.
Oh,
So
nice.
um, I had like a part-time job in the ER. I was doing sort of the urgent care stuff within the children's ER.
Great.
Um, and at the same time as I did that, I started a practice with a group of women who were already working in a practice in Brookline.
Oh, okay.
So I basically joined a Brookline practice, which we renamed Brookline Pediatrics. Um, I'm shocked that that wasn't taken. You would think, right?
Right. Yeah.
Um, but the nice thing was, Brookline has a thing where every neighborhood has to have a school. Like there has to be a school
Mm.
within walking distance. So for many years, and all the schools are K through 8.
Okay.
So I would walk my kids to school, drop them off, and keep going to my office.
Nice.
Like my office is like just the other side of the school
Oh,
yard.
that's very convenient.
It's great. So my day to day doesn't involve a lot of driving.
Right.
Um, and I actually just got back from my errand at Trader Joe's. So
Okay.
um, so yeah, but I do drive, and I do have a car that she can eventually use.
Very good. Very
So,
good. So, I mean, that's got to keep you really busy, but do you have
yeah.
any time to do anything fun? Any avocation?
I do well. I do a bunch of stuff. Some of it is just like um volunteering. I discovered that the only way for me to get advance notice of anything coming up at the school was to be the room parent. I'm like, I'm like the worst room parent ever. Like I don't do anything except I really don't. But I think
But you
people,
know what's going on.
I know what's going on, and I ask people for money twice a year to give the teachers presents. And that's essentially what I'm very bad at it. But so like I do stuff like that, and I do some volunteer stuff for my work, you know, serving on committees and teaching med students, which I actually love.
That's great.
That's really rewarding. But you know,
Do you play pickleball?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. I don't think I'm coordinated enough. Um, I
Community
I
theater?
I do not do, I've been asked to do some community theater. There's a the K through 8 school that my son goes to now has a parent teacher play that
Oh,
I was just feeling like I had the time to do that when the pandemic hit.
uh,
I was actually starting to work on it when the pandemic hit, and they're just getting it back up and running
yeah,
again.
okay. All right.
So that's something that I might do. And I work, I help out a lot with, so my daughter, I'm so like happy. She's in high school, she's a junior, and she works backstage
Ah,
at the Brookline High School Theater. She does lighting and sound. And I mean, when I was at East, I did stage managing
yeah,
and, you know, directing. And
yeah,
so it's like so exciting to see her going backstage and going to rehearsals and stuff. Very
yeah.
different nowadays.
So that's a good lead into my next question, which was, what did you do at East? What activities and
There was a
uh
lot of theater
yeah.
and mime.
Yes. Yes.
We started the mime company.
Oh my goodness. How many
Um,
people were part of that? I know that I interviewed Amy Kresloff and she was
yep,
part of
Amy and
that.
Pete and Doug Byrne
Doug, that's right.
and
Doug mentioned that as well. I
Paul
think Doug
Paul
might have
Cole.
tried to embarrass his kid, like dressing as a mime or something at
Sure,
one of the.
that's 100% what he would do. Absolutely. Um, so yeah, Amy, Pete, Doug, Tori Jensen.
Oh,
She was a year ahead of us, I
oh,
think.
okay. Okay. All right.
I think Paul Cole.
Oh, okay.
I think um, I'm trying to remember. I have a picture somewhere that I didn't bring to you. I didn't think
Yeah,
to.
yeah,
It's stupid that I didn't think to bring it.
yeah.
It's a copy of a picture from either the yearbook or one or something.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I think Doug is holding a like a I don't know, like a blow dryer. He's holding something
Oh,
like a gun.
oh, that's when you guys dressed up. That was the like Spirit Week thing.
That's
Yeah.
Spirit Week.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
what am I thinking of? I'm thinking of something. Well, anyway,
Yeah,
that's something else.
yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
so yeah, so
And you also did the
um,
one act play.
I
Was
did
that
the one. I did
every
the
year?
ones for a couple of years. Yeah.
Okay. And you guys won
Um,
pretty far.
we did. We went to the Bucks County Playhouse and we won.
And that was freshman or senior year or freshman or sophomore year, was it right? Or something
I
like that.
want to say
It
it
was
was
early.
2 years. It
Oh,
was two
okay.
years.
That's great.
The first play we did was Next, I think. Um, and that was that. Yeah, that was Next. That was an amazing play. It was Jean-Claude Bonatali wrote
Hmm.
it. And I only remember that because he was so mean to me a few years later.
Oh,
I met him. He was actually teaching at I went to Princeton and he was
yeah.
teaching there and I
Oh,
was
wow.
so excited and I made an appointment to like meet with him and he was like basically was like I only teach every other year and I don't teach freshmen. I don't allow freshmen into my
Oh,
I was like, "Oh, but I directed your play and I'm such a fan." It didn't help.
no.
Anyway, but I still
Never
love
meet your
him.
heroes, isn't that
Never
the
meet your peer.
saying?
Yeah,
Mm.
yep, yep.
Yeah.
But anyway, I did
Yeah.
love the play a lot. We had so much fun with that. Um, and then the next year we did something, I think it was called Tenement.
Oh,
And I can't remember now if it was junior, senior, or sophomore, junior. I
Hmm.
don't remember,
Yeah.
but I think I directed two.
Okay.
Um, and I think both of them ended up going to
All the way.
West
Yeah.
County. I think
Yeah.
one of them went, and I think it won.
Yeah.
I
I
think.
want to say people seem to recall perhaps sophomore year it
Yeah,
won.
I think it was. I
So
think it was next. That
yeah.
was your sophomore year.
Yeah. And
Yeah, that
then
was so fun.
so what was the Thespian Society? I'm reading off of the
Oh,
thing that
really?
the list of
The
stuff in the
Thespian
back that we
Society.
well how that was different because you have drama production, mime company, and Thespian Society. So I was just wondering
I
what Thespian Society was.
I don't
Do you
know. I think it
remember?
was the Drama Society. I
Oh,
mean, I
okay.
think it was just like I think that's what it was. I think it
Okay.
was a fancy name.
Yeah. And you were
Um,
on the yearbook staff senior
I
year,
was.
according to this.
I
How could this possibly be wrong?
don't know how. Who knows?
Uh,
Oh my
so
gosh.
So did you have a teacher or a class at East that influenced you beyond your high school days?
I mean, Mr. Nation.
Yeah.
I mean, we spent so much time together. Like, I mean, back in the day, it's hard for me to like explain it to my kids,
Hmm.
when I'm like, you didn't understand. I had a piece of paper, like a giant piece of paper that was on both sides, everybody's phone numbers.
Hmm.
And if we had to change the time of a rehearsal, like I had to go down the whole thing and just like, and I had to punch in the numbers. And I had to remember, like, if I could say,
Maybe you had a rotary phone, so
maybe I had a
you were
rotary phone. Right, right, right. Who knows? And then I had to like, I think I had a second phone actually that
oh,
I think I begged for a second phone when we all took physics because
mm.
physics homework was so hard that we needed to like be on the phone so much we needed a separate line. Um, but yeah, like I used to call and I'd be like, I would remember who knew each other. And I'd be like,
Do you remember phone trees? Because,
totally.
I would call these four people,
That's what
these
I was
four
just
people
gonna
would call
say.
those four people. That was
That's
big.
literally, yep, that's literally what I'm gonna say. Like I know that if Carrie, you knew Eric and
Yeah.
Steve,
Yeah.
you call them and tell them about the change, and
Yeah.
I'll call, you
Yeah.
know,
That's so
but
funny. Kids can't get that.
they don't get, there's so many things they don't get.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's
Did
also
you?
funny, the kind of things they're not like, they're like, so mom, was everything black and white when you were Matthew?
My first TV was, yes, but
Yeah,
no,
to be fair.
so we developed cones and rods, and we were able to see in color. No, it was okay.
Right. We evolved.
Yeah, that's right. Did you have a job in high school?
I worked in my dad's clothing store.
Oh, which was what? What was
My
the
dad was a buyer for a
Oh,
chain of women's clothing stores called Charming Shops
yeah,
or
yeah. I
Fashion
remember
Bug.
them. Yeah,
Charming
yeah.
Shops and Fashion Bug.
Oh, well, so you
So
worked for him.
there was I forget if it was a Charming Shops or I think it was a Charming Shops at the Echelon Mall. And I would work there in the summers.
Oh, cool. So, did you have a high school sweetheart?
No, I didn't. I, no,
Okay,
I had a couple of dates with people and, I went to proms, but I didn't have
okay.
a high school sweet. I mean, I'm trying, I guess I dated like toward the very end. There was a guy, Brian Morse, who was a year or two ahead of us.
Oh, okay.
He might have had a sister who was Karen Morse, a year behind us.
Oh, we had a Karen Morse in our
Yeah,
class.
was she in our class?
Yeah, we had Karen Morse in our class. Yeah.
Caryn. It wasn't like, I think it was
Yeah, yeah, Caryn. Yeah,
Ryan.
yeah, I think that's her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody from East you're still in touch with?
Oh yeah, actually. Um, I'm actually in touch with a fair number of people. So Amy Kresloff and Pete Engel, they were um they were in California for a while, as you
Hmm.
know.
Yeah.
And then they came back and they were in North Jersey,
Yeah. Making wine for a while.
making wine,
Yeah.
building, renovating this like amazing house,
Yeah.
really amazing house. She was doing art
Yeah.
the whole time.
Yeah.
And
Heard we got her. I was fascinated with what she's
oh,
done. It's just been unbelievable what the two of them have done.
even more so what they continue to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they've since, so we reconnected when she came back east.
Ah.
And I visited because my parents, my father died when my daughter was a baby, so like
Hmm.
16 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But my mom is still in Cherry Hill.
Wow.
My two sisters, both married with kids, are still
Hmm.
in Cherry Hill.
Wow.
Um, and and so I go back a lot.
Yeah.
And Amy and Pete were in North Jersey, like in Red Bank.
Hmm.
And so I stopped by there a couple of times, and they had a place in Vermont.
Yes, that's right.
And
I think that's where they are now, right?
well, they have a new, well, it's super exciting now. They actually sold both places and they bought property and they're building a place.
Oh.
And it's very cool. It's very beautiful.
And where is that? Is that
It's
still
in
in Vermont?
Vermont. It's
It's in
in it's
Vermont.
in
Yeah,
a
yeah.
small town in Vermont, and it's just like absolutely gorgeous, like beautiful, beautiful property. Their son Jonas went to school in Massachusetts. The only I put out my feelers a while ago when all my friends' kids were getting ready to go to college.
Hmm.
And I was like, please let me cook for people. Let me have people over for like Shabbat dinner. Let me have,
Yeah.
let me do these things. And I didn't get anybody, but I got Amy and Pete's.
Oh, there
He
you
went to
go.
Emerson.
Oh, okay.
And and he still comes down sometimes if he's meeting up with friends because he graduated a year or two ago.
Well,
And they would come and stay with me when they were visiting him, which was great.
yeah. Oh, that's great.
Um, and yeah, he did, and he is trying to be a filmmaker, their
Hmm.
son. And one of my friends around here got to be in his movie. He was
Yeah.
doing a horror movie, and actually, this is sad. He said, "I'm looking for an older man," and I had this friend in town, and he's our age, maybe a little
Yeah.
younger than me, and he got cast as the horror grandfather.
Oh, wow. Well, many of us are grandparents.
I
Not
can't
me,
tell
but
you.
yeah,
I
that's right.
know, I know.
Yeah. So
So
anybody
anyway,
you were,
so
sorry,
I'm in
yeah.
touch with Amy and Pete,
Okay.
and I'm in touch with Doug Byrne,
Yeah.
who is awesome.
Yeah.
In fact, the three of them came to my son's bar mitzvah,
Oh, very
which
nice.
is fun. And I'm in touch with Tori Jensen, who was not in our class. She was a year,
Hmm.
and she's still in Cherry Hill. Um, Brad Soltoff,
Yeah.
I'm I'm actually, very close with him. Our mothers are friends,
Oh, okay.
and our mothers get together for lunch, you
Oh,
know,
wow.
somewhat regularly. And Brad actually lives in Princeton with his wife.
Oh, okay.
And so I see him. He's actually come down to Cherry Hill, or my mom has a place at down the shore.
Hmm.
Um, and some various people have come down to hang out with us there when I'm
Very
down.
nice.
Um,
I know
and
that I think Eric Muller connected us two, right? He had sent
yeah,
you an email that
well, and
was back in touch.
Eric came up a number of years ago for some conference, and we got to hang out, which was
Hmm.
great.
Yeah.
Um, I'm in touch with him. My problem is I I can't do Facebook as much as it's just very demoralizing
Oh, okay.
or something.
Yes.
I don't know
Yeah.
what,
No,
but
it can be
I've had
tough.
to pull myself off of it,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
periods of time. And so it's unfortunate because I lose track with people,
Yeah.
lose track of what they've been up to. But I actually feel like I've been in touch with more people from our class. I mean, maybe just through Facebook.
Hmm.
I'm
Yeah, no, I
trying
mean, I think that's been an avenue for people
to,
to reconnect for sure. For sure.
absolutely.
Yeah. And you said there's some other folks.
Well, I just realized Steve Kanofsky,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
who I is actually two people. Steve Kanofsky, who his father just died,
Oh.
like just a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, goodness.
But I had seen him just a little while before then because his parents went to Bethel.
Oh, yeah.
And I usually come home for, or come to Cherry Hill
For high
for
holidays. Yeah.
one of the holidays. Usually Rosh Hashanah, because what's the point of coming home if you're not going to eat all day, Yom Kippur? So, so yeah, so I usually look for him at Bethel on the
Mm.
high holidays, and we usually just catch up then. Um, Although he has a place in Mattapoisett, which is
Yeah. That's what you're
not
saying.
far from where I am. Um, so I actually had just seen him and Carol Becker,
Yeah.
who she was like when we were little kids, when we were like in grade school, she and I were best friends. We were
Oh,
so
wow.
close. Um, and we kind of got back in touch briefly. I still remember she gave me like the most beautiful gift when my daughter was born. Like it came
Oh.
out of nowhere. It was like this incredible, it's a I'd actually never seen anything like it before. It was a storytelling doll. It's
Mhm.
a doll that has like another doll upside down. It tells a whole story of
Ah.
I forget now if it was um Little Red Riding Hood or something, but you turn
Mhm.
it upside down and it
Yeah.
has characters.
Yeah.
And it was really neat. Um and yeah, so I periodically hear from her.
Mhm.
It's been a while ago.
Yeah. She's got a place up
Out of
there.
Poisson.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think they connect with each other there, but they're
Yeah, I think they've run across each other pretty closely or something she was mentioning when she was on. So,
yep.
anybody you were tight with, you lost touch with? We've been able to connect a few people.
Um, gosh, I'm thinking of all the people from the different,
Yeah, your
worlds,
different, right? Yeah, your class
from
world,
the
your,
class world and the theater world.
yeah,
Um, the theater
and then
world.
all the sports teams you participated in.
Yeah, all those sports
All
teams.
those sports teams, yeah.
Stayed so tight with all those people.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like we
Julie
never
the Jock, we used to call you.
left. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think,
A lot of people have
oh,
reconnected with Facebook, so that's been nice. Yeah.
yeah, well, there's, I don't know if you knew Dave Rowell.
Yeah. No,
So he
maybe.
was a year behind us.
Okay.
He did a ton of theater, and he stayed in theater. He ran off to join the circus. He went to clown college
Did he
for a while.
really?
He actually really did.
That's great.
It's so cool. And he is now director of the theater department at a small college around here.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
So yeah, yeah. So I actually really want to take my kids to see one of the productions there and then like waltz them backstage, which I also got to do with Ben Lippitz.
Yes, yes, yeah.
He was
May
like,
his memory be for a blessing.
may his memory be for a blessing. Man, he was the most generous
Hmm.
soul. He came through when Lion King was coming through Boston,
Hmm.
and I got tickets. He made sure they were the best tickets for me and my
Oh,
kids. He took us backstage to see all the costumes.
yeah,
Then and then we had like we just got together the next day to just catch up.
yeah,
I'm so glad we got that time, and I'm so sad that
yeah,
there won't be more times like that.
yeah,
What an amazing soul.
yeah. So, any standout memories from high school? High, low, something in school, something out of school. Imagine the one act play winning was pretty memorable.
That was pretty memorable. But you know what? All of the theater, I think that was my most memorable times, was just the inordinate amount of time we spent rehearsing and working together. I think that there were just no, I mean, nowadays I see, the kids have to, everybody has to be home by a certain time, and, it's much more circumscribed. And
Yeah,
I vividly remember being there until all hours all hours at night.
yeah,
Um, I remember Doug Bird's parents were the only ones who were willing to basically be awakened at 2 in the morning, they would do multiple trips of
Oh,
driving
wow.
home. But yeah, and I remember Mr. Weaver. Do you remember Miss Tom Weaver? He took over after Mr. Nation,
Oh, really?
doing
Yeah,
the
no.
backstage stuff, and then he took over. I'm not sure. I don't think he's still there.
Mm.
Um, but so I mean I have a lot of great memories of the teachers. Actually, this is sort of a funny thing. Um, Mr. Kovnat,
Yeah, yeah. Who just
um,
retired recently?
who
Yeah,
just retired,
yeah.
and I don't. Did you go to Beck?
Mm-mm. Went to Heritage.
So we had a teacher at Beck, Mr. Scarinci,
Mm-mm.
who Mr. Kovnat and Scarinci were friends. Mr. Kovnat started at Beck as
Right.
like a substitute teacher or something,
And then did
um,
art and then
and
progressed
did art and did photography.
to East. Yeah.
So I knew him from Beck.
You're right.
I was like his first student year,
Yeah.
you know,
You and Eddie
Eddie
Denkin.
Denkin.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. Um, so I knew him from way back then. He and Mr. Scarinci and my mom are friends.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they like get together for lunch
Oh,
every
that's
month
so
or
cool.
two. Um, yeah, I can't remember if Kovnat was involved in this or not, but this is a middle school memory, not a high
Oh,
school
okay.
memory.
That's all right.
But we made a video, which
Mhm.
um, I cannot find. I don't know how I would even find it. But Mr. Scorinci, who was in middle school, and I think Mr. Kovnat did this video to the song "Cats in the Cradle."
Oh, yeah.
We kind of acted it out, and I think it was sort of done at my house. Like I think
Oh, wow.
everybody came to my house and we filmed it somehow.
Uh-huh.
Um, and yeah, and I mean, if anybody has any memories of that or has any like
Yeah.
connections to that,
We'll have to
that would
reach
be
out
great.
to Covenant and see if he
I mean, I
hap
can,
yeah, happens.
well, because he photographed
He's
like my
been on the
whole.
show. So
Oh, I gotta check that out.
yeah,
I
yeah. He was I got two teachers, him and Mr. B.
Oh,
Um
Mr. B.
yeah, so but they both came on. So yeah, it was cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
photographed my whole family, like all of my family's big
Events, yeah.
events, you
Yeah, he did
know?
our wedding. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So did you have you had a chance to go back to the building? And what did you think about it? When was it? How did it make you feel?
Well, I have.
I guess your
And I,
sisters would have been
well, I've got, so one of my sisters became a lot more religious, and so she sends her
mm,
kids to like,
mhm,
you know,
day school or
the Jewish day school.
yeah.
But my other sister's kids went to East.
Oh, okay. So you have been back.
So so I have been back, and I've been back to like I can't say that recently. I think I've
Mhm.
been back, certainly back to the grounds,
Yeah.
for sure. And Mr. Nation, there was like a party for him when he retired
Okay.
that was there was a show. I think I went to the show, and
Hmm.
then there was like a luncheon the next day at somewhere
Hmm.
near where Bethel is now. I can't remember now the name of the place,
Hmm.
but yeah, I went back to the auditorium. It was
Yeah.
unbelievable. It was
Was
great.
it was it big? Was it small?
It felt, gosh, it was, this is already now, I think,
Oh yeah, many, many, many
12,
years.
13 years
Yeah,
ago,
yeah,
but it definitely felt smaller than I
yeah,
remember.
yeah,
But there are so many nooks and crannies in it, you
yeah,
know? Um, it
yeah.
was, it's so good to go back to a place where you have like just
Good
nice
memories.
memories.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Anything you wish classmates knew about you back then or now?
Oh, wow. I don't know. I mean, I think anything they wish I knew about me. I don't know what people want to know about me.
Yeah. Okay. No, I mean, yeah, I mean, some people have answered that they were, shy and they really didn't, they didn't find themselves until they were in college. And other people have, commented on what they perceived they came across as in high school. But um,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's taken me a long time to figure out how I come across at all. Like I
Yeah.
don't think I had
I
any
think
idea.
of you very fondly.
Oh, well, thank you. Same, same.
So we're back in 1980 and we just
Yeah,
graduated and you're looking
yeah,
44 years down the road because that's what 18-year-olds
yeah.
do. Uh, so is this where you saw yourself?
I don't think so. I don't think I had a real vision, to be honest. I don't know. I mean, I wasn't one of these people who like knew I wanted to go to med school, knew I wanted to be a doc, knew I wanted to be a pediatrician. I feel like I never was really sure. And
Hmm.
I like I think what happened to me a lot was I would get to a point and I would get to like a juncture and I would create a a a a, a two-part choice. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Like I got to a path after med school and I thought neuroscience was my first love and I was going to be a
Oh.
neuroscientist. But it was totally not for me. I'm afraid of rats and mice and I don't want to touch them at all. And my brain doesn't think that way at all. And I was actually at NYU.
Okay.
In that was my first place to actually my first thing was I worked in a lab.
Is that where you went to
Um,
med school, NYU?
no, actually, I moved to New York. I got a job in a lab at Rockefeller University. Um, and I worked there for a couple of years. And at that point, decided I was going to go to grad school. So I moved to a neuroscience program at NYU. Um, and it was during that time that I kind of realized I really was more suited to be with people. And what actually drove me to that, this was New York in the 80s.
Hmm.
So it was like the beginning of the AIDS crisis. And I
Oh yeah.
actually took a job volunteering for a rape crisis center at Bellevue.
Mm.
So my job was I had a my first beeper,
Mm.
and I lived in Brooklyn at the time with a friend of mine from college. And my job was if a woman came into Bellevue emergency room who had been raped,
Hmm.
I was going to be her like support person.
Right.
So they would call me and I would like take the subway in the middle of the night and just go and sit with them. And it was just like you can't even imagine, well, you can obviously, but I think many people cannot imagine the fear that people didn't know how you got AIDS and they
Right.
didn't know how you could prevent yourself from getting exposed. And the women who came in, many of them were addicts who got raped or prostitutes, and like people wouldn't touch them
Mm.
and they wouldn't touch their bedpans and they wouldn't
Mm.
give them food
Mm.
and you couldn't gloves weren't widely available, you know.
Mm.
It was just a very difficult time. And I mean, what it did for me was it kind of clarified that I wanted to go to med school,
Hmm.
basically. So I went to Einstein.
Okay.
So I got accepted after that and moved up to the Bronx, and had a great time, actually. I love med school. I
Yeah.
really did. I really did. It was, I mean, it was a ton of work, but I found it just really, really gratifying,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And then I came up to Boston to do my pediatrics residency and I stayed here.
Okay. All right. So you did not have a dream job.
I didn't.
Hmm.
Even like in college, I majored in biology,
Did you
but
ever think you'd go into theater?
I think I'm not enough of a risk taker. I
Um,
always thought that maybe I would write, and I
hmm.
still think that I love writing, and I still think that it's something I would love to do, but I got too much else on my plate right now.
Yeah.
Um, but and in some ways, I feel like there's so much I learned in theater that I took with me to other
Hmm.
things,
Oh yeah.
like how to organize things, how to direct, you know, how to stage manage a life,
Yeah.
um, how to present things in a way that is, you know, convincing. Um, it would be great to do some theater again. You know, the tough thing, I think honestly, the tough thing now is having kids at home and being a solo parent. they have all these rehearsals and stuff there at night.
Yeah.
It's just hard. It's a hard
Oh yeah.
balance. Um,
Not quite the time yet.
Not quite the time, but traveling we get
Yeah.
to do.
Oh, that's
Um,
good.
And
Where
that's
you have a favorite place you all have been to?
that's something that's really important to me, actually. I've traveled for work before I had kids, and
Hmm.
traveled with my kids, and I've
Yeah.
taken them a bunch of different places. Um, Before I had kids, I went, um, gosh, I went to Ukraine.
Oh, oh,
Like I did medical stuff in Cuba
oh wow.
and Ukraine, and a little bit. These are kind of like Jewish missions that have a
Hmm.
medical component to them in Argentina and Morocco, um, and um, and then I just, I traveled. Where else should I? I mean, I've been to a bunch of places. I've been
Hmm.
to Argentina and Chile and Patagonia,
Nice.
which I loved. I can't wait to take my kids there, actually.
Yeah. Great.
Um, and I've taken my kids to, let's see, Italy, Amsterdam,
Nice.
Grenada,
Oh,
Puerto Rico,
cool.
a bunch of places. Oh, we did I did them on forced marches all through the Big Five in Utah, and
Ah, okay. All right. So in country and out. That's great.
lots of in country. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We actually just got back from an amazing trip to Seattle and the San Juan Islands.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
a ton
I
of
got a
fun.
chance to bike up there a couple years ago. That's great.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
tried my first electric bike,
Yeah,
actually.
that's what we did. Yeah.
Super fun,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah.
like you
It's a
can never get
blast.
a, I mean, you could, but
Yeah.
it wouldn't be nearly as fun
No.
to once you got to the end.
Exactly. Best piece of advice you'd go back and give your 18-year-old self.
Take more chances.
Mm,
Take more chances for sure.
yeah. Yeah. All right, we've reached our fast and furious finish. Doesn't have to be any of those things. Um,
Okay.
did you have a favorite book in high school or a favorite TV show or favorite movie?
Okay, you know what's funny?
Yeah.
So this is funny. This is past weekend, I was just in, it was a long weekend here, and I took the kids to upstate New York to the Catskills.
Yeah.
And we went like tooling around, did some hiking, did some like, my son actually is into thrift, like he likes thrifting. Um, and I picked up a book that was in the antique store, Jonathan Livingston Seagull,
Yeah.
which I had not thought about literally
In
since like high
junior
school.
high school. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what a great book.
Yeah.
A little inspiring book about a little, like, you know, hardy seagull who was just
Yeah.
trying his best to be independent.
Yeah.
Um, and that one, I think, like, that one holds up. Like, I was leafing through it,
Yeah.
and it kind of holds its message of like being an individual, but like teaching the flock. And I think there's like a postscript where he like teaches the next generation. I don't know.
Hmm.
It seemed to work. I got to tell you, I was into science fiction a lot
Yeah.
in high school. A lot of that stuff does not hold up. Like we were big into Stranger in a Strange Land,
Hmm.
Robert Heinlein. And I went back and tried to read some of that. And oof, is it sexist?
Yeah.
Oof, is it misogynistic?
Yes. Yes. A lot. Yeah.
Um,
So true.
so I did have some books that I loved, but had to sadly, you know,
Yeah.
like,
Not sharing those with the kids.
right. And those I'm not going to share. I mean, I shared the term grok because it's so important. You know, um, we had a bunch of us mimes were like, you know, we talked about being water brothers. It was something to do with one of those books.
Hmm.
Um, but but yeah, and I liked TV shows. Oh my gosh, we used to sit every Saturday night and watch, the whole lineup,
Yeah.
you know. Um, I mean, I can't recite it now, but it was like Mary Tyler Moore, Bob Newhart, Carol Burnett,
All that. Yeah.
all that, MASH.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I watched like the basics.
Yeah. So did you have a favorite musical group or genre of music? And here's where I shout out Reggie
Reggie, Heaven's
and
Edge.
Heaven's Edge. So, do you have a favorite
I
group?
love Reggie.
Yeah.
Reggie taught piano to my niece and nephew.
Oh, well, he's taught to a lot of our
Yeah.
classmates,
Oh, he's
kids, and
beloved.
whatnot.
My
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Um,
How
so
about
yeah,
you?
I don't think my musical taste evolved I mean, I had very like I was sort of into folk.
Hmm.
Um, and and when I got into college, I got much more into music.
Hmm.
Um, and I was a DJ for a little while
Oh, cool.
in college and then after college at this place in New Jersey. And my tastes were a little bit sort of offbeat. Like
MC Julie D, is that what they called you?
I did go by Julie D for a while, then I just went
Oh,
by Julie.
yeah.
Um, yeah, there was a radio station in North Jersey called WFMU, still is.
Uh-huh.
It's a freeform independent radio station. Um, and I became friends with some of the DJs there, and then I did a show for a little bit. It was a huge amount of fun.
Yeah.
Um,
Very cool.
it was a lot, yeah, it was cool and it was a lot of fun. And I got into more, I guess you would call it world music and um alternative music, stuff like that. But yeah,
Mm. So, did you have a favorite place to hang out with friends or eat? Were you a diner person or did you
Ponzio's,
hang out
yeah,
at the water tower? Where was your place?
Ponzio's.
Okay.
Ponzio's after a show.
All right.
Or Olga's, I guess,
Yeah.
but mostly Ponzio's. Um, no, I didn't have, it was the water tower. I was not privy to
People would
that.
meet. There was what was it? Was there a gas station there or something? And that's where
Still
they,
is. Yeah.
yeah. So,
I was not invited to those gatherings.
oh, okay. All right.
I
Well, there you
think.
go.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But did anybody ever mention Holly Ravine?
Oh, yeah. 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 Several people. That was their
Yeah.
place. Yeah. Yeah. All
Yeah, we
right.
yeah.
So, did you like your high school yearbook? And quote, and your quote is, "Let today embrace the past with remembrance and the future with longing." I
I
think
like
that
that.
holds up.
I
Yeah,
think that holds
I
up.
think that holds up.
Not embarrassing.
No, some
I
some have been.
know. I was certainly expecting that mine could be embarrassing, whatever it was. I didn't
No,
remember
no,
it.
it's good. It's good.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. All right. So our
So
penultimate
fun.
question: what
Yes.
was your first concert? Like who, where, and when? Do you remember?
I I remember two. I'm not sure which one was first.
Okay.
So either I went to the Beach Boys.
Oh,
I Either I went to the Beach Boys or I read about this group in Ms. Magazine. Remember Ms. Magazine?
yeah, yeah.
So my mom got Ms.
Okay.
and I read about this group that I actually have followed to this day. Um, but it was very much a niche group. And I dragged my parents to this, that they were singing at Penn. It was a black women's a cappella group called Sweet Honey in the Rock.
Yes, I have seen them here in Durham.
Yep.
Yes, yes,
Yep.
yes. Wow, they were so was that was high school?
Yep. It was.
Wow.
It was.
Wow, yes.
I dragged them to Penn. And my dad parked the car. My mom and I went, my mom and I went, and I still remember we got there late because
Hmm.
we had no idea it was going to be like crowded,
Yeah.
like that people would like this group or it was this little teeny announcement. And we had to wait outside to be let in or something. And my dad was even later. And I remember they were singing like some gorgeous, like down by the riverside or something.
Yeah.
Beautiful harmony, like absolutely gorgeous. I was like, this is going to be good. We got in, we sat down. It was great. My dad had to sit separately
Yeah.
and
Yeah, no, that's a good
yeah.
one. That's a good one. All right, so lastly, anything you want to say to someone, anyone, everyone who might be listening to the podcast today?
Well, I want to say hi. I want to say thank you, Kara,
Yep.
for doing this.
My
Because
pleasure.
every time I listen to a new one, it's like a whole new window
Yeah.
of like seeing somebody else's life, how it unfolded, and
Yeah.
also like reminding me of new things. This is
Yeah.
the amazing thing, is like even talking to you now, I'm thinking there's so many things that I feel like I forgot to mention or ask
Hmm.
about, you know, like all these things we did in high school that I can't quite remember.
Yeah.
And
It's a long
I
time
know
ago.
that when I was thinking about this interview, I was thinking I should ask her about this, and now I can't remember what it
What
was.
was
One was cutting class in senior year because we were all pretty like I mean I was a pretty studious, good student, nervous about doing anything wrong.
Yep.
And I still remember there was
Rule followers. That's what we
rule
were.
follower. Yes. I still remember a
Not that
physics
Eric Muller,
class.
though, man. He just went off the rails all the time. Shout out, Eric.
Such a rebel.
He was.
He's a rebel with a cause.
Well, I would say without a cause, but
He found his cause. I think he did.
he did. He did.
Um, but no, I remember all of us, or many of us, one day very late in senior year. Remember how
Wasn't there a senior cut day? Is that
well,
what you're referencing?
I'm thinking more specifically of a sunny day. And do you remember the courtyard
Hmm.
that it looked like the cafeteria
Right.
went into the
It's in the
courtyard,
center. Yeah.
but then the classrooms were like 3 stories on the other side or
Hmm.
something. I just remember being in physics class and it was like toward the end of the year. There's nothing
We
anybody was going to do. And
and
we
we had
said,
physics like eighth period, right?
I
And
think
was
I
it like the
remember,
end of the day?
and I think I
Yeah.
remember saying to the teacher, we'll see you later. We're going to be down in the courtyard if you need us. And we like put on our giant, orange JanSport backpack. We all like marched down the stairs and like looked up at the classroom for like 40,
Yeah.
that was like our big rebel.
After we were in college
Accepted
and
to our
had pretty much,
colleges, nothing bad
yeah,
was going to happen.
right. Yeah. Oh
I
goodness.
think, unless it's a made up memory.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll go with it. It sounds good.
I do. Me too.
Well, thank you so much for doing this today, Julie. It was great to catch up with
It
you. I
was
really
an
appreciate it.
absolute pleasure.
And
Thank
I
you so much.
absolutely and I hope you'll maybe come on down in April to the class reunion on looking for April 26th, 2025.
All right.
Will be our 45th reunion.
Yeah.
So this should be fun.
Well, and that's what I want to tell people. If you find yourself in Boston, call me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would love to catch up in person. It's every time I see people, it's such a pleasure.
Yeah, it really is. All right. Well,
All right.
great. Well, good luck. And I hope that soon you are back into your acting days, whether it be with your school uh parents or whatever it may be.
Me too. Thank you so much.
Yeah, very good. Well, thank you,
Thanks,
Julie.
Sarah. This
Take
was
care.
great. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining me on It's Been How Long? The podcast about Cherry Hill High School East students from the late 1970s and the early 80s. A shout out to my cousin Brad Corbett, whose podcast We Weren't Friends in High School inspired me to do this podcast and whose advice and encouragement have been so helpful. Thanks also to my husband, Randy Coughdale, who read all the fine print on the podcast hosting website so I wouldn't have to. And thanks to Jeff Lyons, content consultant and guinea pig, and to Deborah Smead, also content consultant. And thank you to all our classmates who are listening in. See you next week.